2023 is coming to a close. A lot has happened this year, and Amazon continues to shake things up. Shannon and Roddy, my partner in crime, and I reflect on our 2023 predictions. Which ones came true? Which ones missed the mark? Mostly Shannon's. I'm Jason Boyce, founder and CEO of Avenue 7 Media and host of the Day 2 podcast. I'm joined today by Shannon Roddy, head of business development here at Avenue 7 Media. Shannon, it has been far too long since you and I have recorded an episode.
It has. I've missed it. I was setting up on my podcast equipment. I thought I had to dust all this stuff off. It's been great to watch our team step in. You've had so many great guests on, and I love watching our team getting up and being able to show the expert knowledge that we have here at Avenue 7 and how diversified that is and how far it goes beyond you and me and some of the other teams. So I've been loving it, but it's good to be back.
It's funny. Sometimes I'll look at a problem, an Amazon problem. I'm like, gosh, I don't know the answer to this. And then I go, wait a minute, I can talk to Malia, or wait a minute, I could talk to James, or wait a minute, I could talk to Liz. We have such a great breadth of knowledge and education and understanding and experience in the Amazon space in our team. It's pretty awesome. It's like I feel like I'm in a playground every day when I come to work.
It's fun. And a lot of times the problems don't have a simple solution. There's not a direct answer. And it's getting together and creatively brainstorming. We did that with on a call this morning. And I love the creativity that comes out. So
Shannon, I'm going to kick this off. Andy Jassy is the man in charge. He is the CEO, the HMFIC. I'm not going to tell you what that means online. For you ex-Marines, you'll know what that means. But it has been a year of cuts and more cuts. There have been a lot of key executives that have left. I think a key executive is Dave Clark. He was head of Worldwide for a while, then left and went to Flexport, and then left Flexport. And so then I start scratching my head. Maybe it was Dave Clark, not Andy Jassy, for why he left. And he wants to go run for governor or senator, and he wants to go into politics. Oh my gosh. Good luck, Dave. And then Jeff Blackburn, head of media, left. Alicia Bowler Davis, head of fulfillment. Dave Bozeman, VP of trucking. A lot of folks have left. He's been cutting costs, which a lot of people were concerned about last year. I was one of those people that was concerned about it. Certainly Dave Clark was, to the tune of him bailing on Amazon. But I got to tell you, Shannon, the investors are very pleased with Andy Jassy right now. They are harvesting profits in a very big way. Some of the most profitable quarters Amazon has ever had in their history have happened in the last 2 quarters, and this one's going to be a big one too. So, growth may have taken a back seat. It's definitely day 2 at Amazon. I don't even necessarily mean that in a bad way, but it's just got this definitely different vibe than it did 2 years ago. We can unpack that more further in the episode.
So the way I'm sort of looking at this, I think we could take like a full point or like a half point because yes, there was a lot of cuts and definitely profitability has increased. But you said, look, growth is going to take a back seat. But looking at sort of the overall year over year growth, Amazon didn't really slow down. How would you rate yourself on this prediction?
Okay, so the prediction was Andy Jassy took a back seat to growth and in the form of profits. I think I was dead wrong. I mean, I missed the whole thing, all of it. Definitely they're more profitable. So I guess half of that is correct. The piece that it was going to cost them growth is just dead wrong. I mean, some of the big things that they did was reorganizing under this regional FBA placement where the search results may be different in the Northeast as they are in the Northwest, depending on where the inventory is more closely placed. I don't think that's been a bad thing at all. We had some hiccups earlier in the year that our team highlighted with, Malia and James highlighted some pretty big hiccups that we were able to resolve and give some good feedback on how to fix that. But they're just not as bad as they were. And it's interesting. I mean, I've been forever against FBM, and we're seeing some examples where some of our clients think so. I got to give credit where credit is due. Melody, key account lead, said that she was really liking FBM, and Heather too, another key account manager, saying they like FBM. And I think it's because of this new regional FBA. If you're in LA, for example, and you can ship product out of LA and you've got FBA inventory and FBM inventory, we're actually seeing growth because of that, which is very strange and new and exciting. And so, yeah, Shannon, I cannot give myself this. Maybe I give myself 50% prediction.
I'll give you half credit. I think half credit is due. I think half credit is merited.
I'll take a 50%.
My first prediction was that Amazon was going to provide more direct access to customers, but in more controlled ways. And I'd say, again, it was very incremental, but things like brand tailored promotions was pretty key. Again, where Amazon says, hey, remember all these customers that have purchased from you in the past that you sort of have in your audience pool? You can now do specific promotions to audiences based on certain criteria. And they have opened that up, but again, in very controlled ways. You can't just email everybody who's ever purchased a product from you. And again, the rollout of Get Product Support is a big one. We had we had a guest on last year to talk about that, the product lifecycle support. We actually got a client enrolled not having to use this third-party tool, which before you had to use on-site. Now the client is able to do it directly, have their own page on their website to offer support. And so Amazon is doing this one. I think I'll take credit for it. It wasn't necessarily in all the ways that I thought, but
I'm giving it to you, Shannon. I think it was a great prediction. I think you nailed it. And, again, you could look at these: manage your customer engagement, get product support, brand tailored promotions. Brand tailored promotion is really promotional, but the other two, it's just, again, I think it was a wise prediction because Amazon will always do what's best for its end consumer. They're focused on that. They're customer obsessed, and it just made sense. And so I think you nailed it.
All right. You had some key predictions based on some of the acquisitions that Amazon made. I actually think you got it close. The two big ones were One Medical and iRobot. And you basically said, look, I think one of these is going to get completely blocked by the FTC. What happened? What wound up panning out there?
Amazon now owns MGM. They own One Medical and they own iRobot, and nothing happened. There were some investigations that were done. The government wasn't able to make its case that Amazon was violating antitrust law with the acquisition of these companies. I think iRobot is sort of an open question mark still in the EU. Yep. I think EU's really investigating this one, and it's not completed yet. But I really did think last year, my mind has changed so much, Shannon, on this whole antitrust topic and acquisitions, et cetera. I really did think that legislation would be passed. I don't know what the hell I was thinking, honestly. There is no legislation getting passed right now because Democrats and Republicans, no one's talking to anyone.
Nobody can agree on anything.
They used to just disagree with each other. Now they disagree with their own parties internally. There's all these different facts. Nothing is getting done in government. It's really sad. But I mean, ultimately, Lena Khan really moved forward. So, I mean, again, maybe this is 25% accurate. The FTC did file a big antitrust lawsuit against Amazon. She wasn't able to do that last year, but she got that majority vote that agreed with her. And I read every bit of that case. And then I read the second version that had some of that stuff redacted, which was very interesting. Here's why my thought process has changed. I've felt very much for a very long time that getting some concessions from Amazon would help sellers. Shannon, you and I are of the same cloth. We care about sellers first, Amazon second. And we appreciate what Amazon does for sellers. But at the end of the day, things like buy box suppression, which is that California DOJ lawsuit, which is part of this FTC antitrust lawsuit, is harmful. It's hurtful, and it makes sellers' lives much more difficult in many cases. And so I expected the FTC to come and do the antitrust case, but I'm not so sure they're going to win it.
I thought that was interesting. Again, you said, I'm pretty sure the FTC is going to take action. They did. And in September. And now the question is, will it pass? And based on your review and analysis right now, sort of your prediction for 2024 is you don't think that sucker is going to go through.
No, I mean, right now, Amazon has filed a motion to dismiss the case. I think it's literally a coin flip, whether the judge throws it out or not. I wouldn't surprise me either way. If the judge says, nope, you got no case here, or yes, let's take this to trial, I'm intrigued. One interesting thing that came out, Zulily, the old flash sale site company in Seattle. Yeah. Zulily has shut its doors. It's done. It's over. A private equity group in Southern California bought Zulily and has filed a lawsuit against Amazon. And they've got a host of brands that were selling on the Zulily platform for less, who told Zulily in emails, et cetera, that they couldn't sell for less on Zulily because Amazon damage was too painful. So I think that's going to give a little bit of fuel to Lena Khan and the California DOJ's case. But at the end of the day, this is why my view has changed. I talk about in that prediction, the legislator, I talk about the FTC. The FTC and the legislators combined, government combined, has like a popularity, a polling rate that's just barely above cold calling telemarketers, right? The public hates the government. They hate the FTC. They hate all of these things. But you know who they love? They love Amazon. At the end of the day, I don't think that Lena Khan will be able to overcome in court to a judge the fact that Amazon brings tremendous value day in and day out. And so that's I know it sounds like I'm coming 180 on this, Shannon, but I got to tell you, I mean, until consumers start really complaining and that popularity rate of Amazon drops down to below where the government is, I don't know that this is going to go anywhere.
They say, you know,
Are you shocked at that statement?
No, I mean, they say in terms of winning an Oscar, you know, Ralph Winter said, you know, it's 95% a popularity contest. It has nothing to do with how good an actor you are.
Yeah.
Just to be nominated is a huge honor and puts you in the upper echelon of all actors. Beyond that, he goes, it's just a popularity contest. So, you know, there could be that element at play here. So
I do hope that the FTC case does get some concessions out of Amazon. That'll be positive for sellers. But look, at the end of the day, Amazon did this better than anybody everywhere and continue to do this better than anybody anywhere. And the consumers are happy. And I couldn't complete my Christmas shopping without Amazon. So they got a big mountain to climb to convince a judge that Amazon should be broken up.
Okay. My next prediction was that I think that influencers are going to play a bigger role in Amazon product launches, but I don't think Amazon will be the one to figure it out and facilitate it. I think that's true. Amazon Lives have been sort of delisted a little bit. I mean, the sort of the self-service. I know Amazon Lives, you could sort of pay the $50,000 or whatever it is to, you know, to do the Amazon Live studio in New York. And even the creator connections that we talked to somebody at Amazon Unbox who helps run that. You know, they're really looking to build that program. I still think it's in its infancy and sort of unknown what will truly come out of that. But I saw some crazy product launches this last year with people using TikTok influencers that just blew the numbers away in terms of what you could get if you just had to rely on ad spend. And so I'm gonna take a win on that one, but
I'm gonna give it to you, Shannon.
I'm gonna take your next one. This is what was fascinating as you commented on my prediction. You said no one's paying attention to Amazon Live. You should give it some airtime and make it a legitimate channel on Prime Video. Did you have any idea how foretelling and prophetic that statement would be? Because as we sat at Amazon Unbox and they said, by the way, you can now live stream on Thursday Night Football. What better way to get your Amazon Live, your product out there? I just thought that was so interesting. So I'm going to kick it back to you talking about Amazon advertising, because that's the future. You know, you saw it. You had mentioned it. I don't think you knew Amazon was working on that behind the scenes, but it was pretty fascinating to look at.
It just made logical sense, right? And I do really love your prediction. TikTok, no question. I do think also there's a demographic thing happening. Older folks like me and older are less interested in live. They did grow up with QVC and Home Shopping Network, and so seeing it in a Prime Video channel is very interesting to them. The younger crowd is doing it on their TikTok, so they're very. I think you know, the 18 to 25-year-old demographic is all in on influencers on TikTok, and I think they trust it. The more user-generated the content is, the more they trust it. The more polished it is, the less they trust it. I think it's a fascinating story. It's almost like a tale of two demographics there. So well done on that prediction, Shannon. Amazon ads is the real deal. Folks, they are just getting started. And Shannon, you know, we had the pleasure of going to Unboxed in New York. Loved it. You know, love seeing the regular crowd, Jeff Cohen and everybody at the show, and was so blown away by what they're doing on DSP, AMC, Amazon Marketing Cloud, and on the streaming TV ads. In fact, I was just talking to our director of DSP, Colleen, and I think he thought I had lost my mind a little bit because I'm so excited about the potential for brands to become the next billion-dollar brand by using Amazon tools on advertising. Sure, sponsors important, retargeting is important, all that stuff's important. Display's okay. jury's out on sort of the effectiveness of it, but video, pouring in viewers that are targeted to your niche audience with specifically targeted content directed directly to your specific audience in the same time slot to multiple audiences with multiple content is next level. And I think Amazon is definitely in the pole position. I think there's going to be this whole movement where linear TV is going to continue to die off. And in the next 3 to 5 years, probably 3, streaming TV advertising revenue in general is going to surpass that of TV. And I'll give you another hint. Hyundai, Amazon's selling cars now, which is the largest segment. If you look at total retail in the United States, automobiles is by far the largest segment of total retail sales. Amazon's selling Hyundais now
by accident
on Amazon. And that TV ad revenue spend is going to go all in. I saw a Thursday night football game. I think I saw 15 different Hyundai television ad commercials. Hyundai's taking that budget from linear TV and moving it to streaming, and that's not going to end.
I'm going to read this quote that you said because I felt like it so perfectly predicted what was going to happen. You said, Amazon advertising is a crouching tiger ready to pounce. It's still day one for advertising because Amazon's first party data is better than ever. And I agree. I think you nailed it. Amazon continues to innovate. And I think it's why people love to work there. I know we're seeing some drop off of Amazon saying, hey, you got to come back to work. And there's definitely value being in the office. We get that. There's an element where people love to work on something that's exciting. Can you imagine being put in a position to say, we're going to do something that's never been done? Hey, let's go buy rights for this for Thursday night football and allow anybody to advertise their brand on it and segment their markets with different messaging. Like, that's unbelievable,
And Shannon, let me say another thing. Black Friday football absolutely drove growth through the Cyber 11 days. To Amazon. They had a record. They had a record Black Friday. They had a record Cyber Monday. And I think without that Black Friday football game, those numbers aren't nearly as good. The awareness gained and the attention given to Amazon.com when people are watching the Friday game was extraordinary. I can't wait to see more details on what the results were of that, but it was big.
Yeah. Make a little analogy here. The reason why the Santa Claus that we sort of look at as the typical Santa Claus here in the United States wears a red suit and a black belt is because of Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola literally created our version of Santa Claus. That's why his suit is Coca-Cola red. Coca-Cola embedded themselves in the culture of American, sort of iconography, where it's like, what do you think of when you think of, America? It's like going to the ball game and having a hot dog and drinking a Coke. That's America, just sort of in that prototypical fashion. Amazon has basically done that on the e-commerce level. They have created new holidays that did not exist with Prime Days. That's unbelievable. And I think, again, it sort of transcends sort of the marketing, gist of, hey, let's try to, suit this thing up or make this thing look pretty. They're literally changing American culture by the way that they operate. It's unbelievable.
Their great catchphrase that they launched at Unboxed is connecting content to commerce. And that's if QVC and Home Shopping Network back in the day could just collect the order right from a remote control like Amazon can on Fire TV, it would have been a whole different ball game. And that's where we're at. It's really exciting. It's exciting to be in the agency world right now as well, because we've got these little gems sometimes of products with great quality, and we can help them literally not only capture sales that are coming through on Amazon, but also raise brand awareness with the Amazon suite of tools. And you couldn't do that before. You had to do that off Amazon. And that was another one of your predictions, Shannon, which was, you thought more brands are going to be driving more off Amazon traffic to their Amazon storefront. And so what do you think? What do you think about that one?
I'm definitely going to take a win on that one. And you had mentioned that DSP did that, but the combination of DSP, these clean rooms that they announced at Unboxed, the ability to do streaming TV, all of that sort of play into this ability to track the customer journey in a way that's never been possible before. And it's what makes Amazon so exciting. So I'm definitely going to take a win on that one. I wouldn't have predicted how it would happen, and I didn't know that Amazon was going to do it, but they found a way to capture off Amazon traffic for brand building. So I'm gonna take a win on that one.
Shannon, I think if I remember this one correctly, I know there were a lot of people predicting that Buy with Prime would go away. And I was like, not so fast. I said, Buy with Prime is not going anywhere. The ability to drive traffic to your .com is new and exciting. Andy Jassy, this is a big thing that he's hanging his hat on, and he loves it. And it also told us that they're making money off of fulfillment. So every FBA fee that you send to Amazon is making Amazon a lot of money. The more volume that they can bring in from external Amazon orders into their fulfillment network, the more profit margin they can make. It really is a scaling game, and they've got the scale. This last year, for the first time, surpassing deliveries to the home by not only FedEx, which they did in 2020, but in 2022, they surpassed deliveries of UPS. I remember being on being at a trade show several years ago when I think it was the first time Jeff Bezos was still CEO, and he was announcing that they were working on drones, and FedEx was just laughing at the thought that Amazon could ever create a delivery network to match their own. The VP was even making jokes about Amazon. We have drones too. They're called 747s. I just thought they were totally arrogant. I was like, you're underestimating what they're going to do here. And sure enough, they've smoked them to the point where now, and especially in 2024, they're going to be allowing you whatever channel you're selling on to pick up packages from your warehouse and deliver it to a customer, whether they're an Amazon order or not. So Buy with Prime Logistics is a huge leg on their stool. It ain't going anywhere. It continues to be very interesting. But I love your comment too, Shannon. Like I almost fell out of my chair when I saw the Instagram and Meta were going to be putting these sort of Prime links on allow it in their platform. Zuckerberg finally said, I'm not good at e-commerce, and they're not. But let's get good at making ad dollars and creating likes and special experiences. But let's let Amazon handle the tough stuff. And that's fascinating. And Shopify as well. I thought Shopify, they were going to do a gangster move and not allow it, but they got rid of their fulfillment network. And
they caved really fast. Yeah.
It happened fast. And I think it was a smart move.
It was. And I saw, some of the fallout of how bad that fulfillment network was. And I knew people who went over to try to help fix it. And it was sort of a little bit of too little too late. But again, knowing what you do best is important.
You had another one, Shannon, about Amazon going to provide more focus on mobile. Where do you land on that one?
I don't think they did. I think mobile is still huge. And I think they basically looked at it as good enough. Liz and I were looking at some A+ content, and it's just, I still wish that for A+ content like storefronts, you could upload a mobile friendly image and then a desktop friendly image. And they have not, as of yet, rolled that out. And it doesn't quite make sense to me because A+ content is a huge lift in conversion rate. But the size font that you need to read something on a giant desktop versus on an iPhone in vertical, very, very different. So I'm going to probably take a no on this one.
Well, look, as TikTok Shop continues to grow, I guarantee you they'll get there, Shannon. Maybe next year.
Yeah, they're going to force their hand.
Yeah, for sure. I think one of the predictions I made, we talked about Amazon treating sellers like true partners. And I think when we talked last year, we were just coming off of Accelerate, and Amazon, for the first time that I could remember, started talking about sellers as partners, selling partners. And I think I mentioned in my first contract that I had in 2003 with Amazon, they specifically put in the contract that I could not call Amazon a partner. So it was really amazing to hear them say that. And, I was very skeptical about whether they would follow through on that. And I think my prediction was that they wouldn't. But I got to tell you, the difference between that first Accelerate conference to the one we went to this year in 2023, I think they're getting there. The last 2 years has been remarkable in terms of, the amount of tools that they're offering for sellers, the amount of data they're offering sellers, and the amount of support that they're offering sellers in ways that, frankly, I begged for 10 years ago, and they just weren't interested in it. But I think that, I think Doug Harrington deserves some credit here. I think Dharmesh Mehta deserves a lot of credit here. I think they're saying all of the right things, and we're starting to see a lot more actions that support the Amazon seller. And I don't care if it's about government pressure. I don't care where it's come for. I'm just here for it, and I love it. So I think I was wrong here.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, your prediction was that, look, love the rhetoric. but actions got to follow. And you didn't think the actions would follow without government pressure. And if the FTC lawsuit looks a little shaky at this point, it doesn't feel like it's bringing a lot of pressure. That Amazon seems to be making these changes on their own. And I just there's so many people out there that I got to meet at Accelerate. And I want to highlight the Amazon Agency Referral Partner Program, which I absolutely love. And to be honest, Jason, this is just my experience. It's the first time that I sat in a room and somebody, a current Amazon employee, talked about how much they valued agency partners. I just have never heard that before.
Yeah.
And to be even more honest, I've talked to Amazon employees who said, you know what, the word agency, it's kind of a bad word around here, right? and
Yeah.
yet the data supports that people who, if you work with an agency, you have the ability to grow more. Why? Because there's so much to manage. There's just so much. There's so much, there that you have to take care of. And we got 100+ team in 10 different departments. It's a lot to manage if you got to do that as a solo brand owner. So I absolutely love the shifts that we're seeing. I have seen it backed by not only Amazon actions, but by programs that are being rolled out. And I'm excited to see that continue. So,
Shannon, I was talking to a brand recently, and I shared with them that when I was a top 200 seller, I had 24 people dedicated to managing my Amazon business. 24, and he almost fell out of her chair. Also, after managing a brand for 17 years, your knowledge base can get kind of stale. But what's cool that what agencies can bring is a viewpoint of interactions with Amazon across multiple categories. Sometimes Amazon will beta something in one category and not another. And so, an agency can get in on the first round of beta and start preparing for it for the other categories. And I think we've got full teams who their entire life and their entire working hours are spent in sort of this one vertical. And it's hard to hire for that when you have a brand or you have multiple sales channels. And so again, pleasantly surprised. I was as shocked as you to hear you tell me that that's what was said at Amazon. But again, I'm here for it.
All right. My next one, I'm going to give myself partial credit on this one. The next disruptor is going to be an app-based platform, not Walmart, not the established Walmart. Now I know they're making a lot of changes and they're like, look, you said this as well. They're 10 miles within every customer home in America. Leverage that. They clearly have not leveraged it. But my guess was that it was going to be an app-based platform. And looking at Shein and Temu and TikTok, I think that was pretty close. I mean, just Shein and Temu have gained more market share combined, if you sort of aggregate them together, than Walmart has right now. I mean, the level that they're growing. And my miss here was I really believed that, because I'm an idealist, right? And you're a little more of a realist, is that it would be shoppers being, driven by being more eco-friendly and brand values and stuff. It's really still all about price. So a little disappointed there, but that's the reality. And the crazy thing is TikTok is doing this, and even Temu, when I got some notifications, they're like, hey, sign up, get in the platform. You have to download the app, and then your first order is free, like whatever you want to order. They are trying to change consumer behavior, and they know the psychology of habit formation, right? James Clear, like, make it simple, make it attractive, right? And so they are funding at a loss people's behavior modification. And even TikTok, we talked to Bella Booty, TikTok is funding discounts. So they'll offer it at one price, and TikTok is coming in and saying, hey, customer, you get to buy it at 40% off, and we're funding the difference. So I would say half right on that one, because yes, I do think app-based platforms are going to come and give Amazon a little bit of run for their money, but it's not eco-friendly. It all comes back to price.
My viewpoint has changed a lot on sort of the antitrust thing. Real competitors are coming for Amazon, right? The landscape is getting more competitive. No doubt Amazon still owns the lion's share of market share, but Shein, Temu, and TikTok are all Chinese companies. They're all being funded by the Chinese government, and they are going straight for market share. They're losing billions of dollars, sometimes monthly, in order to come in and steal market share away from Amazon and Walmart. If I'm, on a personal level, Shannon, I'm a big fan of Walmart and Amazon right now over Shein, Temu, and TikTok. I can't deny TikTok Shop's growth and their power, especially in that younger crowd. But I'm rooting for Amazon and Walmart to be strong enough in order to fend this off, because all of the problems and issues that the press has with Amazon are exponentially increased on Shein, Temu, and TikTok. All of the product safety concerns, all of the false advertising concerns, all of the things that rip off consumers are happening at scale on Shein, Temu, and TikTok Shop over and over and again. And I feel like on some level they're being held to a much lower standard than Walmart and Amazon is. And I'd just like to see Amazon and Walmart. I'd like to see Walmart come in and take up more share, and they're doing it. I don't think many people knew who Shein, Temu was last year, Shannon. So I'm gonna give you a half here. I think you're half right on this one.
Overnight.
Yeah,
Overnight.
Yeah. So the next one, okay, buy box suppression. So of course, the big case, California Attorney General's office filed a lawsuit against Amazon if I'm paraphrasing, because of buy box suppression. All Amazon sellers know, even if you're the only seller in the Amazon buy box, if Amazon suppresses you, you immediately lose up to 30% of your sales. It's Amazon's way of saying, hey, you need to be price competitive on our platform against all of the other reputable e-commerce websites. I mentioned earlier, Zulily went out of business. They're filing a suit against Amazon, claiming that they drove them out of business because of this buy box suppression. And I felt pretty strongly last year that California AG was going to win this suit. It's still in motion. So, things are happening. It's going to be a while before this suit even goes to trial. So I think we have to wait and see on this one right now, Shannon.
Yeah, I think your prediction was that Amazon was going to try to dismiss it, Amazon lawyers, which they did. That request was denied. But, based on the law and the process, this is sort of a wait and see. We'll see what happens in 2024, 25.
And the interesting part, this is a piece of the larger lawsuit that the FTC has filed against Amazon. So we'll see. Will they merge these cases at some point? I don't know what's going to happen here, but this is a TBD TBC to be continued.
So Jason, last one to kind of wrap up. The big thing on everybody's mind last year was recession. What did you see coming out at the end of Q4 of 2023? How do you feel the economy is, the macro economy, micro economy right now? And did that really materialize?
Yeah, I went to some big investment firms conferences. I listened to their chief economists. Every major CEO this time last year in 2022 was saying that the world is coming to an end. We're definitely running into a recession, and it didn't happen. And I was fighting against it and speaking on our podcast saying, I don't see any slowdown at all in consumer spending. This year, looking into next year, in spite of some record year over year growth during the holiday spending, we're now starting to see signs of a softening of consumer spending habits. And so will we have what they call a soft landing? Will we have a mild recession, a major recession next year? I don't know, but we're paying very close attention to it. If we look back at 2023, the first half of the year, maybe even the first 7 or 8 months of 2023, huge inflation, prices going up. Now we're starting to see deflation. We saw in the Prime event in October that consumers are trading down and they're going after discounts. All of our clients that went big with the discounts that we recommended had great record years. The ones that did small coupons didn't do anything. And so there's definitely still price sensitive customers out there. I think their spending power is now diminished. A lot of more Americans now are living paycheck to paycheck. A lot of that free money from COVID time is gone, and now debt is building. And so I'm always positive, even in a recession, about e-commerce and Amazon. But I feel like this is the year they should have been worried about recession more than next year. I hope I'm wrong. I hope there's no effects in the first quarter. But I feel like regardless of what happens in the first half of next year, by June, I feel like the world's going to start coming back to the way it was, potentially in many ways, consumer-wise, pre-COVID, hopefully.
Any last recaps? I feel like we're going to have Liz on and talk about our collective, predictions for 2024. I think that would be a lot of fun. But any last thoughts of recap from 2023 that we didn't cover so far that come to mind that feel significant and worth mentioning as we close out this incredible year?
We talked a little bit about offshoring coming to onshore or to Vietnam. We had a great episode this year with Steve Simonson saying he's literally moving everything he can out of China. I don't know anyone else on this planet that knows China and international trade as well as Steve does. He's been in this game for decades, and he's saying China's in big trouble. They've got more debt than the US and Europe combined. They're putting lipstick on the pig right now, so it's hard to see it. And so I think there's going to be this continued trend. I think Biden and Xi are trying to mend fences right now, but Xi's wanting to flex his muscles in the South China Sea there is not helping their business cause, that and the debt. And so is sourcing spreading out? It absolutely is. Is it going to India, Vietnam, Southeast Asia, Mexico, parts of Eastern Europe, and Turkey? It absolutely is. And I think that trend will continue. I think China's in for a world of hurt next year. Hopefully it's not a flu that becomes a contagion with the other countries. But if you're interested, go back and check out that episode we did with Steve Simonson. It's awesome. And then Walmart Ascends is another one that we talked about. I think we kind of said it's going to slowly but surely, Walmart's going to keep beating market share, seeing a lot of great signs. They are converting part of their brick and mortar stores into sort of pickup and delivery stations. They've got a lot of great talent, a lot of ex-Amazon people working over at Walmart Marketplace right now. I think that the most amazing thing to them is their ability to make money by reselling ad space on their existing .com. And so that is really buoying their ability to invest in this platform. It's not going to stop. And I'm a big fan of Walmart, American company. I'm a big fan of Amazon, American company, doing the best thing that they can for consumers, but also for the country. And I'm just very bullish on both of those guys heading into 2024.
It'll be fun to recap in 2020, 2025.
All right. Well, Shannon, so good to talk to you, man. It's been too long.
Glad to be back.
Let's get some more episodes booked in January so we can give some more great content to our viewers and our listeners. In the final analysis, yeah, Shannon and I have crystal balls, but sometimes they're a little foggy. We do okay, but what a year 2023 has been. If you managed to grow this year, pat yourself on the back. It was a challenging one with a lot of inflation, a lot of change. I'm hoping that things will be a little calmer in 2024 for you all. But again, if you're ready to start growing and protecting your brand on Amazon with a team of experienced Amazon operators who've been there, done that, and got the t-shirt, you can visit us at day2podcast.com. That's day2podcast.com. And lastly, if you know of anyone else who would gain value from this podcast, please share it with them. Thanks for listening and happy selling.